Welcome back. Today I wanted to go over a paragraph written by Wallace Wattles from the book The Science of Being Well. Now, this book originally was meant to show people how to live a healthier life, physically speaking, how to get your body in a healthy condition. Although the suggestions are never 100% medical advice and scientifically accurate necessarily, it is still an interesting book to read, even though it's over 100 years old, because most of the points he makes are pretty, straightforward and make a lot of sense if we really contemplate them for themselves. But this first paragraph was actually in the introduction of the book, and it already contains basically the essence of the science of being well, but also the essence of all his other books like The Science of Getting Rich. And even beyond that, it contains the essence of basically every New Thought teacher that you may have ever studied. So people like Neville Goddard and Emmett Fox, etc. And they all worked with this concept in their own ways. That's why it's so powerful. So let me narrate it and then we'll discuss. He said, "The way a man thinks about things is determined by what he believes about them. His thoughts are determined by his faith, and the results depend upon his making a personal application of his faith. If a man has faith in the efficiency of a medicine and is able to apply that faith to himself, that medicine will cause him to be cured. But though his faith be great, he will not be cured unless he applies it to himself. Many sick people have faith for others, but none for themselves. So if he has faith in a system of diet and can personally apply that faith, it will cure him. And if he has faith in prayers and affirmations and personally applies his faith, prayers and affirmations will cure him. Faith, personally applied, cures. And no matter how great the faith or how persistent the thought, it will not cure without personal application. The science of being well, as well as all the other sciences, then include the two fields of thought and action. To be well, it is not enough that man should merely think in a certain way. He must apply his thought to himself, and he must express and externalize it in his outward life by acting in the same way that he thinks." Now that's the end of the paragraph that I wanted to share. Now that final line is so fascinating that I underlined it in my own copy of the book, because there we have a key to something very valuable that we may not even realize. He said, "To be well, it is not enough that man should merely think in a certain way." When we talk about the certain way, if we condense this concept of his, we're talking about the ability to first think and imagine how you want something to be in your life, whether it's the condition of your body or whether it is the financial state of your life or in general the results in your life. You first have to going to use your imagination, your ability to think about things differently. And as you do so, then you're thinking in a certain way. You're thinking along the lines of success, wealth, and health and happiness. But as he said, it is not enough, because we must also apply this thought to our lives, to ourselves. So we come to the two fields of thought and action. So here's the thing. You want to learn to express and externalize your thoughts in your outward life by acting, by taking action in the same way that you think and imagine. That's how I would describe it. He didn't word it like that exactly, but that's what we're doing for this video. So I want you to contemplate that for yourself. No matter what it is that you want in your life, you can think about it, you can imagine it. It is possible for you to do these things, unless you're too lazy, for lack of a better word, to actually do this consciously for yourself. So it's not meant to be rude or to upset you, but you're going to have to analyze this for yourself, whether you're doing this or not. So as you're doing this, you're going to realize, all right, I can imagine living a greater life, having more success in my world. Now, as I'm imagining this, I'm becoming aware of activities I should technically be involved in. But am I actually acting upon these thoughts? Am I changing my life, physically speaking, around based on what I'm thinking, based on what I'm imagining? You see, this is the subtle power that will set you free from bondage, from your current circumstances. It's the same for me. If I don't see something greater first inside my consciousness of what I would like to have and be or do in this world, well, then it's going to sort of keep me stuck where I'm at. Because what am I focusing upon? Well, probably the polar opposite. Or if I am focused upon my dream, consciously speaking, if my actions don't line up with the thought and imagination that I have about it, well, then nothing can really change. This is what we're called upon to do. We're called upon to align ourselves with the good we desire. And we simply do that by learning to express and externalize these thoughts and imaginative visions in our outward life by acting in the same way that we think. So have you been doing that? You have dreams, you have goals that you would like to have. Have you also been acting the part? Have you been taking action on those thoughts and visions? So again, a simple example for me would be this YouTube channel. I always like to bring it up because it really is that simple. It doesn't mean it's easy all the time, but really now, if you're not interested in having a YouTube channel, that's alright. So maybe you don't relate to it, where you're like, well, I don't really care about being a content creator online, so even though you hear me talk about this, you might not really register it as something useful at first glance when you hear it. But I want you to really contemplate this works for your goals as well, no matter what they are. So in my case, I can imagine the sort of YouTube channel I want to have. That's step one. I can imagine about it, I can think about it. But then, you see, the issue is, if I don't act upon it, then nothing happens, then no video would be made. The problem, though, is that people get so stuck up in the idea of taking action that they become unable to take any action. So what they're doing is they become aware and doubtful and worried about not knowing exactly how to make that dream happen. So they know I probably should take some action, but I'm not consciously yet aware of what I should really do. That's what they start reasoning, and that's what's holding them back. But all you have to do is take that vision, that dream of yours, and analyze it for yourself inside your mind. You can write it down if you want to make this process easier, but you analyze it inside your mind to figure out, what could I be doing right now in my current circumstances to express elements of the dream? Because by expressing elements of any given dream, you are in the process of growing towards its realization. That is what you want to understand. So even though you have to start small, like most of us potentially don't have the money to execute your dream on a large scale. If it's a big dream, that is, and you might need a lot of money. But there are elements of that dream you could already be involved in, physically speaking. And if you think about it, many people, they got, for example, financial backing for a dream they had. People that started Google, YouTube, Facebook, everyone always needed financial backing of some kind sooner or later. So what these people did was they had the vision already of something they wanted to create. Then they started working with the resources they got. And as they became clear on it, as they become familiar with it and efficient at doing these elements of their bigger vision, then perhaps other people came along that saw what the vision was about, and they were like, okay, I'm willing to financially aid you in executing this vision, this dream that you have for humanity, for what you want to share and create for humanity. Now imagine if all these big giant tech companies, when they started out, they didn't act in the same way as they were thinking. Nothing would happen. And that's what happens for most of these websites that wanted to start. Many of them fail, and it doesn't have to necessarily be the case. I know it might be hard to go up against current giant tech companies with your own projects. That's very true. But we want to understand the basic concept here is that as long as you have a vision and you learn to act upon it, you are on the road towards its realization. So have you been doing this? You don't have to start out with millions of dollars in your bank account to finally execute your dream. Of course, it might speed it up. It might make it easier. I won't deny that. But at the end of the day, as long as you're willing and able to act on your dream with your current resources, then slowly but surely elements of that imaginative vision in your consciousness start to show themselves in time-space reality, you could say, meaning it becomes visible to other people what you're about, and then slowly but surely it starts to expand and grow in your world. Because it's only by expressing parts of your dreams, even though they're small at first, that you give other people an opportunity to support you as well, if that's what you need. If you need the support from other people, you're going to have to show them what you're all about, what your dream is about, because otherwise they have no clear reason to follow you or to support you. You see how this ties into my YouTube channel in this case as well, is that I could walk around and say I'm a content creator to people, but then if they ask what's your channel, and I would say, well, I haven't made a channel, I haven't made any videos ever in my life, but my purpose in life is to be a content creator. That makes no sense, does it? So already with something like that, I had to externalize and express my thoughts by taking action in the same way as I think. I had to take action on the ideas and things that I'm thinking about and imagining about inside my mind. This again is something you can do. At first it may be uncomfortable. It may be a little scary. Now you just have to understand the reason why it's uncomfortable to radically alter your behavior according to this concept is that you are probably not used to living like that. So you're basically going outside of your comfort zone to a certain extent. But the comfort zone always expands and changes around based on how you're acting. So if at first it is uncomfortable, by doing it consistently, it will become more and more comfortable to you, and you reach a point that actually becomes uncomfortable not to live in this manner. And that's the case for me. It is actually uncomfortable for me not to apply these teachings because I know they're so useful and powerful, and they help me achieve and consistently work towards my own dreams in life. But if I stop doing it, if I become lazy mentally, then I automatically start to feel uncomfortable because of that. Even though before I became aware of these teachings, maybe I was comfortable being lazy. You get the point? Well, this is something you can start analyzing for yourself, and if you're doing this, if not, start working with it and just contemplate it deeply for yourself, because all you really have to understand is that you can think anything you want to think. You can think about your business, about your life in any way you want. You can see it as successful, as great, as a wonderful journey, but then you're going to have to line up your own actions with that vision, with that dream, so that you're actually expressing and executing it on a physical level, and then slowly but surely it will start to manifest more and more in and as your life. This is really what happens to anyone that applies the power of their consciousness in the right way. So I hope you take it to heart and consider it well, because like we always say, it will do wonders in your life. Now with that being said, dear viewer, never forget that we are the dreamers.